Hello everyone, welcome to Data Gym Center once again. We will be starting from where we stopped the last time, but this time we are going to be talking about a few rules that you will need to observe as you interact with SAS. These are common rules. These are rules that SAS takes very seriously. So you need to understand these rules for you to efficiently work with SAS without having any issues. So one of those rules is that every sentence, I put it in quote here, must end with a semicolon or semicolon. That is number one rule, and that is one mistake that most people make with SAS. When they quote, they just forget to add this semicolon. This is similar to what you do when you write. Sometimes you just forget to add a full stop or a comma. So in SAS, you must end every complete sentence. What I mean by a complete sentence is most often you start with the keyword, and then you do something, and then you would have to end it. But in some instances, it doesn't have to. You don't have to start with a keyword before you can end it with a semicolon. But the point is, you have to end with a semicolon. The semicolon separates every part of this code or the program. For instance, this part that creates the data that names the data that you want to create is different from the path that export the data that you want to create, or rather import the data that you want to create into SAS. Not import from any external files, but because this data set is already built into SAS. So when you just call it with these, you should have it available to you. So it has to end with a semicolon. Another thing that you must note is that you don't ever start a SAS name with a number. You can either start it with alphabet A to Z, but not with a number. What I mean by SAS name is, for instance, you want to name your data set and you put 1. If you add 1 to this data set, when you run it, it will flag it as an error. So when you check, you see it specifically underlines where the error is coming from and tells you that there is a syntax error. So you don't start your SAS name. So this also has to do with your variable name. So let me just run this data set, this line, and then I will just print out this data set. Let me just show you what I mean. So you can start a SAS name. You don't start a SAS name with a number, and that has to do with your variable names too. You don't start these or whatever here, you don't record them as 1 Acura or something else. So it doesn't have to start. It should start with it should start with an alphabet, and you can follow it with a number or with an underscore or any other thing, but it must not start with a number. So the next thing we would have to, that you have to take note of is that you don't start your SAS name with this % sign or the ampersand. If you had a % sign here, it changes it changes the font. The reason why you shouldn't start with these or these is that these two signs or these two characters are reserved for something special in SAS called the macro facility. So we will talk about the macro facility in subsequent videos. So you don't use it. So let's just try to add a % sign before start these name with a % sign, and you see what happens. So see, changes it. So when you run this code, it tells you something different. So let's run it and you see what I'm trying to say. When you come here, you say, okay, this expecting one of the following, this and this, so the symbol is not recognized and will be ignored. So it will tell you, throw up that error, and there's a warning and things like that. So you see, when this was stopped, there were 0 observations, 15 variables, so no data set was created. So you see here, if you say it's a warning, apparent invocation of macro. Remember I just mentioned macro? That is reserved for the macro facility, so it has to be used only when you are working with a macro. So let's remove it, and then it comes back to normal. So the next one is that make your name short. That is pretty much what I would say, and make it as descriptive as possible. For instance, if you look at this table, you see the make of cars, and then we have Acura, we have Audi, you have BMW, you have Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Chrysler, you have Dodge, you have Ford. If we are interested in capturing or creating a table with cars from these maker, from Audi, only Audi cars, what we do here is this. If we are interested in making in just creating a table with only Audi cars, we can say where make equals Audi, and you end it. Okay, because we are interested in only Audi car, going back to keep the name short and descriptive, this underline descriptive as possible, is that you can add that information to the name of your data set, Audi. That shows that you are interested in only cars from the maker Audi. Okay, so that works well. So if we run this, it's going to only print, give us a data set with Audi cars. You see, so this data set was created, and at the time it was created, we had 19 observations, so we have 19 Audi cars, and then we have 15 variables. So that is what I meant. So if we want to print this, we only need to copy this out and then just paste it here, because that is the table we just created, and that's what we want to print out. So when you print it out, you only see Audi. You see make, you see Audi. So what I want to stress here again is that make your name as descriptive as possible. So I think I would have to just leave these alone to explain the others. So one other thing we should note is that SAS does not care, to some extent, whether you use a lowercase or you use the uppercase, so an uppercase, so or a mix of the cases. For instance, this is the data set we just created. If you come down here and you want to print the data, you can just put here, you can capitalize this, cars, and SAS doesn't really care. If you are coming from the R environment, you know that it's a big deal in R if you mix your cases. So if you mix uppercase with lowercase, so it can be a huge problem. So let's print these. You still see that we have an output, so it still prints it. So that's all we are going to talk about here about some of those syntax. So let's just talk about a few things. Let's talk a few things about the colors that you would have been seeing since we started the tutorials. We have the black. If you come here, you see the black are for variables, sometimes for data, and for the codes. Sometimes in your log, the code that you just run is given in black. For the blue, we have the blue, different color texture. We have a deep dark blue here, we have dark blue here, and you have light blue here. So the blues, so to speak, are SAS keywords like we have here, and then you have some statements or options also are colored in blue, or we have SAS commands. And also, if you, let me just clear this, if you come to the log, the blue color in the log tells you that the statement runs without any problem. That doesn't mean it runs it gives you what you want, but it tells you that it runs without any issues. So the green is comments. So you see the comments. The reason why we have this is we have this green is because it's a comment. And to write a comment, for instance, if I want to comment, the reason why you need to comment is one, if you need to run this code again in the next 6 months, you know exactly what you did and how you get there, so you'll be able to reproduce what you have done. So if I need to comment this, what I just need to add is just I just need to add an asterisk to comment this line. But for instance, if I need to comment the entire code, I can, okay, let me remove this, let me undo it, and then I can just highlight this. I press the Control button on your computer, on your keyboard for Windows machine, or I think it does also work with a Mac, the Control and the /. Okay, you use the Control and /. So it's Control. Do you write a Control? Okay. Control, I think it's TRL. Okay, yeah, plus the /. So that does it for you. Okay. So another thing you can do is just to add a / here and add an asterisk, and you come down here, you add an asterisk, and then you add a / that is commented out. You see? So those are comments, and sometimes they are also warning. The color also signifies warning. Here you see warning is in green. So the pinkish, as you can see, pinkish can be titles. If you want to add a title to this command or this program, you only need to come down here, say title. Sorry for the typing error. Title, you say this, and you just say data step. Data step, and then you excuse me, you close it, and then you close it with a semicolon. So you see, it's pinkish. Another another place you can have this as pink is where you have labels. Here, where we use where make is equals this. If you go back to the table, we are referring to a label. Where make equals this. Make could as well be Volvo or any other thing. So you see this color when you have labels, when you have titles. So red means danger, means something is wrong somewhere. You need to go there and fix it. So you see, there's a problem here. The code won't go beyond this point. It won't run when the problem is flagged. So when you notice, when it gives you the flag that there's a problem, it doesn't run beyond that point. So yellow is usually the color that you see when you enter data directly to the editor window. So for instance, I want to do the same thing as I did here, but if it means that I'm going to be copying the data set and pasting it directly into the window, I can just say data cars. I just say, okay, down here I'll say input. Input, that is what name are you going to give the data set make, because make, okay, I have to talk about that as well. So because make here is a character variable, it is not number, it's not a number. Then in SAS, if you were referring to a character variable, you have to add a dollar sign, so it recognizes that it's a character variable. And then let's see which of these variables here we have numbers. So we have horsepower, so let me just copy this over. Horsepower, so it's a numerical variable, we just have this. Okay, so now we need to supply the data set that we want. So it's either you use cards in SAS, you use cards, or you use data lines. And when you use data lines, SAS is expecting you to enter data just immediately after that, after the semicolon. After the semicolon, SAS is expecting a data set. So for instance, we need the make, so we were working with Audi before, so we have Audi. You see the yellow color? That is what I wanted to show you. So, and what is the horsepower? Let's just say 23, 4. Then there is no need to end this because this is just a data set. At the time when you're done entering the data set, you can just end it with a semicolon. So let's say Ford, we have the horsepower to be 224. Let's say we have BMW, the horsepower to be 255, and maybe what else? Volvo, so let's say Volvo, the horsepower to be 310. So when we are done entering the data set, we can just add a semicolon at the end. So what SAS does is it reads these and corresponding to this, so it reads this and recognizes that this is make. And then let's just run this data set and you see what I'm talking about. So you run, you can add a run statement, or you can just run it like that without any problem. So we enter this data, we run. So let's check our log. You see we have 4 cars, 4 observations and 2 variables, and that kind of corresponds to what we had here. 4 observations, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 variables, make and horsepower. So let's print this data. I don't have to type again, so I just have to bring this down and just change this to car. So let me run it. You see what I'm talking about here. So it prints out this data for us. You see the Audi and these Ford, BMW, and Volvo. So what I wanted to show you here is that data set, if you enter them directly into the SAS editor window, gives you the yellow color. So again, you must end with a semicolon. You must not start, do not start a SAS name with a number or with these special characters. Keep it short and descriptive as possible, like I did here. And then for consistency and for, it's a good practice to use the same case of letter. So if you are using lowercase for your data set, for the name of your data set or your variables or so, you have to be consistent. So if it is lowercase you're using, use lowercase all through. If it is uppercase, use uppercase all through. And the black and these, we just have explained that, and you've seen some practical examples of how those things work. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much.